This is Suburban On Air and Cohen in the City. Here is Mike Cohen.
Well, it's very nostalgic for me on Cohen in the City today to have an old friend, an old colleague, Sabrina Marandola from CBC. Let's Go, the Drive Home Show. Welcome, Sabrina.
Mike, thank you so much. We're going way back here now.
We are, and the strange thing is that you look younger now than when we first met, I have to say, and that was quite a while ago, Sabrina, when we first met.
Yes, don't make me do the math.
That's
it. Was 20 years ago, Mike.
I find that shocking, but first off, congratulations, the Best of Montreal magazine produced by the Suburban, and you were voted as the radio afternoon show the best in Montreal. How does that feel?
It is so humbling. First of all, it came as a complete surprise, and it's just so humbling and such a blessing. I'm just so thankful to everybody who voted and to our listeners. I mean, we have just the best listeners. They are so loyal. And it's so great because we work so hard every day. We're a whole team. It's not just me. And
That's right.
So it's really rewarding just to get that nod, and then you get that nod from the listeners. So it means even more. I mean, I'm just doing what I love. I'm so privileged. Yeah. I'm so blessed to do what I love every day. And then that all of our hard work gets recognized in that way. It's so humbling. I'm really grateful.
Well, the show from 3 to 6, the Drive Home Show, I listen to it very, very regularly, and sometimes I'm interviewed by you. That's why it's very interesting to turn the tables with my various hats that I wear. And you're in good company because your old high school, Lester B. Pearson High School, was voted best of Montreal. You have good memories there, don't you?
I do. I really do. I mean, I'm an East End girl, and so I grew up in RDP, went to elementary, junior high, and senior high in Montreal North. And so for me, that's where my heart is. That's where my roots are. And I have very vivid memories of Lester B. Pearson. I mean, I could name you all of my teachers. I could name you all of my homerooms. It's just a time in your life. It's such a pivotal time in someone's life. And so those teenage years really stay with you. Are the lockers still yellow at Lester B? I remember they were yellow and orange. I always had a yellow locker.
That's a very good question. It's not something that I even look at the colors when I go into schools. I'll look next time, but maybe we'll do it together. We'll definitely got to bring you back to talk to the kids and motivate them.
Yeah, I'll go to my old locker. I remember exactly where it was too.
It's a deal. Now remind us first off, when you started with the Suburban, what was your role at the paper?
I was the East End reporter. What had happened is they had launched an East End edition of the paper. So there were 3 different editions of the paper going on: West End, West Island edition. And in 2004, this is why I say I'm dating myself here, they had just launched an East End edition, which covered 4 boroughs in the city: Anjou, Montreal North, St. Leonard, and RDP Pointe-aux-Trembles, which those were my stomping grounds. So it was almost like this position and this edition that was created, in a way, it was almost created for me. And so talk about a great learning curve too. For someone's first job in journalism, you were going to council meetings every week, and you really got to know the movers and the shakers in the community just at that grassroots level. And so that was a great learning curve, great learning experience. And what a way to just get in the community right in there to contribute to the East End edition. So I remember it was very hard work, but it was very fulfilling work.
It was. And you also had the EMSB beat. You covered all the EMSB meetings.
Yeah. Education was my beat, so I was at all the EMSB meetings as well, and covered a lot of stories in the schools, which, I mean, that has carried with me throughout the years. Yes. I mean, that is something that we still do. I'm still very involved in the schools. I'm a guest speaker very often, and that is one of my passions too. I love talking to youth.
Yes, exactly. So I could tell, Sabrina, even in your Suburban days, you wanted to be in radio. You made it very clear. And you left the Suburban, I remember at one point, and you said, Mike, I'm going to try my luck at radio. And I said, geez, you didn't even really necessarily have guaranteed jobs, but that's what you wanted to do, right?
Yeah, I when I left the Suburban, I had nothing lined up per se, but I knew my heart was in broadcasting. But having said that, I would really encourage anyone who's going into journalism, print. I mean, if you can't write, then you can't do broadcast. Writing is the foundation of everything. So I really feel like I was blessed that the way it happened for me, I feel like it kind of happened in the quote unquote right order, just learning curve wise to get that solid writing foundation. And to do print, I did magazine writing as well. For 10 years, I was a contributor at Panorama Italia magazine as well. And then went into broadcasting. I thought, this is where my passion is. This is where my love is. I want to have a voice and give a voice, literally a voice to other people who feel they don't have a platform. And so I took that leap. I took that launch into broadcasting.
I believe it was 940 News that you started out with.
Yeah, I went to 940. Absolutely.
And what was that like?
Again, talk about a learning curve. That was amazing because it's live radio all the time. Nothing at 940 was pre-taped. Everything was live. And then you really learn the ropes. I started off as a traffic reporter on the air. The month I started, there was a municipal election. And so I was working election night, working till 2 a.m, covering, again, those boroughs, the St. Leonard results, the Anjou results, the RDP results. And just really baptism by fire, I guess. But hey, it's election night. You want to work? Are you available? I said, yes, sign me up. Where do I go? And I drove around all night to all the different boroughs, just covering the results that night. So that was just a fabulous experience. And I did traffic, I did news reading, I did reporting. And that's kind of where you learn the ropes at all of these different jobs in a newsroom.
So you ended up moving to CBC, and if my memory is correct, again, there was no guaranteed post for you. Not like you've got a prominent post as the permanent drive home show host, but you took another gamble, didn't you, when you moved over to CBC?
I did. I mean, sometimes it's the way fate goes. 940 shut down. So from one day to the next, you find yourself without a job. And I mean, it's such a precarious industry, and we still see that today. And it's so sad because you have friends and colleagues, and sometimes it's you find yourself in that position where from one day to the next, your show is canceled or your station is canceled. The whole station just shut down from one day to the next. And I went with some reference letters in hand and knocked on CBC's door and said, I'm here. Here are my skill sets. Here's what I have experience in. I'll start as an intern. I'll start wherever you want me to start, but I'm available. And I think I left 940 on a Friday. And I think by Wednesday, I was working at CBC.
What were some of the roles you had at CBC preceding the show you have right now?
All right, where do we begin? I've pretty much done almost every role. I started off in radio working in current affairs shows. So I started as a researcher. I would fill in on traffic when the traffic reporter was either sick or on vacation or away. I backfilled as producer of the morning and afternoon shows. I also would fill in as host. I dabbled in television as well, where I was a weather presenter. I was a television reporter. I would also backfill as news anchor, mostly on the 11 o'clock and weekend news as well. I've done lineup editing. Then I worked at the web desk for 6 years as well. I was a digital reporter working at the CBC web desk. I was also at one point in charge of a special online features program where we would have to, I was looking for different voices in the community, and it was trying to get people on board to write point of view pieces and personal pieces and opinion pieces. So I had just the blessing to do that for a couple of years, to just meet real leaders in the community and give them an opportunity to share their view on our CBC website. And then here we are, host of Let's Go in the afternoons.
How many years has it been now on Let's Go?
Let's Go, 4.5 years. We will be celebrating our 5th year in September.
That is incredible how time flies. The show was called Home Run. You took it over.
Yes.
Did you choose the title?
I did not. I did not choose the title. Once it was called Home Run for about 40 years. Yeah. And then kind of went under a rebranding. So yeah, it was not me who chose the title, but I knew when I joined, it would be called Let's Go.
It's a fun show to listen to. You're full of energy. You're just a pleasure to listen to. That's the way you are in person, by the way, too. So people should know that. But How would you best describe the show? Because it's got a little bit of everything.
It does, and that's actually what I love about it. I love the range where if you listen over the 3 hours, I mean, you'll get a community story that really shines a spotlight on just, the Monsieur, Madame, tout le monde. It could be your next door neighbor who's on the air, which is what I love about it, just giving a voice to quote unquote real people. And then we have politics. We'll talk about food. We'll talk about books. We'll talk about sports. And so it's so fun just to shine a spotlight on all of the different things going on in the city. So for us, our focus is really putting a spotlight on people who are trying to evoke positive change. I mean, our whole really goal is to highlight constructive journalism and to do constructive journalism. So that means focusing on people who are trying to find solutions, who are maybe that they've highlighted a problem, they're not happy with something going on in their community, in their neighborhood, in their city, and they're trying to spark change and they are trying to find a solution to this. I at the end of the show at 6 o'clock, you might think, okay, 3 hours, commercial free, you're on air for 3 hours straight, you must be exhausted.
Yeah.
I feel empowered, I feel energized because
Yeah.
the stories we do are just so solutions focused. So it gives me hope. And I think, look at that person who's picking up masks in the pandemic, during lockdown to try to keep our city clean and try to keep litter out of the sidewalks. And you think, wow, it takes so little, but that can make such a big change. So it really just leaves you feeling positive. I hope that's my hope.
Yeah, no, I think so. And it's kind of like me with my column. I mean, wherever I go, something becomes an idea. And I'm sure whatever you do in your life, you say to yourself, you could be out with your husband for dinner and say, hey, that might be a great story for next week, right?
Yeah, journalists eavesdrop a lot. I'm not going to lie. My ears are kind of always listening for, what are people talking about? So, as a person, you're only in so many circles. So I'm familiar with the circles I'm in, but it's interesting to meet different people and see what's top of mind for them. What's top of mind for parents, what's top of mind for seniors, what's top of mind in various spheres of life. So I'm always eavesdropping. It's true.
So finally, like you said, it's not just you. I know you have a tremendous team because I hear from them. They're very thorough. They fact check. They often do a pre-interview to make sure that you have all the facts in advance. They don't just say you're going to be on the show tomorrow. They'll often call. They'll get a lot of material. So is that's something that you focus a lot of attention on, to have great detail?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me personally, I don't know if it's a hindrance or not. I am a perfectionist and I like to make sure things line up. And also at the end of the day, I mean, we do journalism. It's journalism first. And so, to highlight great stories, the facts have to be right and the names and titles have to be right. And you also, if I'm speaking to someone on the air and they're taking time out of their day to dedicate a few minutes of their day to us, people are preparing for an interview. I feel we owe it to be prepared as well. And so I don't want to have someone come on and feel like, oh, they invited me on, but it feels like they didn't even know me. I want to know all about the person I'm speaking to before they come on the air, so that once they're on the air, they can feel comfortable and, we're not starting from zero here. I feel like I already know them by the time the microphone's on. So for me, that is an important part of prepping for the show.
Well, the best of Montreal, Sabrina Marandola, let's go. People can listen 3 to 6 weekdays on CBC Radio 1, and they can also go to the cbc.ca/Montreal website, go into programs, and you can hear highlights from various shows, which I do very often in the evening when I'm working, and I get to listen to Sabrina in the background. So great work. Keep it all up, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you so much for this opportunity, Mike. All the best.
Sabrina Marandola has been my guest.